Good morning, students. It's me, Miss Sania, your Pakistan Studies teacher, and today we are back with another lesson. As you all know, that we have already started attempts at constitutional reforms in the previous lecture, which was in continuation. So today we are starting with the part two of that lecture. So let's get started. I am zooming the screen so that you can see very clearly that what exactly is the content. And yes, of course, hurry up, grab your notebook along with pencil or pen and start noting the important pointers, and you're already familiar with another guidelines. All right. We will emphasize on Lucknow Pact 1916 because there were multiple MCQs which were included into the past paper. So let's get started with this. Lucknow Pact 1916, Indian National Congress and the All Indian Muslim League agreed to work together to advance the cause of Indian nationalism. It means that you're promoting the entirety together, you're working together to promote the feeling of monotheism, that you all are united with one another. So this exactly happened in Lucknow Pact. Soon after, Parliamentary reform and then reversal of partition of Bengal. All right. So the background story of this is in 1913, Muslim League demanded self-rule for India, which brought the Muslim League and Congress to each other. Quaid-e-Azam joined Muslim League in 1913. He was the great advocate of Hindu-Muslim unity. With the effort of Jinnah, the joint session of Muslim League and Congress held in Lucknow in December 1916. When we talk about the Act of 1913, Muslim League, which was the political party of Muslims, they demanded for self-rule. So under the discussion, Quaid-e-Azam brought Muslim League and Congress together. Quaid-e-Azam, he was the leader of Muslim League and he was also the advocate. Like Hindu-Muslim unity, he was working for that thing. And then in Lucknow Pact, the thing which was decided among Quaid-e-Azam and the other Congress leader, it was about that we should put the steps forward to promote the feeling of unity among each other. The features of Lucknow Pact. I am discussing Lucknow Pact in detail. As I've mentioned before about it, this is a very important topic which is included in your SLO. There shall be self-government in India. There should be a separate electorate for all the communities until the community demanded for joint electorates. Muslims should be given one-third representation in the central government. So when we talk about this thing, when Quaid-e-Azam said that we need self-rule, then it means that he is demanding for a separate electorate so that he could raise his voice against the rights which were not given to them, and that he could talk in favor about Muslims, that what is right and what is wrong for them. All right, he needed that representation into politics and he needed that representation into the government as well. So already they have formed the Muslim League, but yes, they needed representation so that they could practice things further. If they are not represented, if they are not getting representation, if they're not considered by others, then automatically it was you can say that it was not easy for them to move forward. The number of the members of the Central Legislative Council should be increased to 150. We have already discussed in this thing about in more limited reforms that how many members were allowed into that provincial district. So automatically he wanted to increase those members to 150. It means that when we are talking about the government of the subcontinent, then Muslims were not given enough seats as compared to Indians. This is the main reason that he demanded for more seats. Now, the impact of Lucknow Pact. The two parties agreed to allow representation to religious minorities in the provincial legislatures. It established provincial legislatures means into the government. Provincial means the provinces. It established cordial relations. It means cordial means to come together. It established cordial relations between the Muslim League and the Indian National Congress. Pressure for self-rule created by both parties on the British government. British government was much more concerned and emphasized onto this thing. There was a pressure of self-rule. They were represented and both parties agreed on this decision. So this was the impact, the result of Lucknow Pact. All right. So now we are starting with Montauk Chelmsford Reforms, Government of India Act 1919. Then what happened afterwards? All right. When I talk about Chelmsford reforms, then automatically I should say that there were multiple questions which were included into your SLOs in this content as well. Viceroy of India Lord Chelmsford and Secretary of India Edwin Montagu introduced new reforms for India in 1919. There were new reforms, there were new amendments, there were new things which were introduced in India by Chelmsford. All right. The background story of this starts from World War One. India cooperated with the Britishers for their success. Automatically, they were supporting Britishers in the World War One. In return, the British government passed the Montauk-Chelmsford reforms. In return, what they did was they passed these reforms, the Chelmsford reforms. The British government sought to increase the participation of Indians in the administrative of their country. That it means that British government already increased that participation, that India can the people of India can participate, or you can say that Indians can participate into the administrative activity. It means that they were offered jobs and they were offered opportunities to do their things. Now, when I talk about the features of Montauk Chelmsford reforms, the first feature is it introduced diarchy. Diarchy means the system of double government in provinces. It means there is no one leader, there is not any one leader. It means there are two leaders, and those two leaders are leading the country, and you have to follow those two leaders. The provincial government was to be divided into two parts, one to be responsible to the Indian electorate through the legislature, the other to governor. It means they both can rule, but it depends that how many people are lying under them. All right. So, features of Montauk-Chelmsford reforms are powers were divided between the center and the provinces. The powers were divided among both of them. The reverse subjects were controlled by the governors of the province, and the transferred subjects were controlled by the provincial legislative council. So, when we are talking about reverse subjects, it means that one subject was controlled by the governors of the province, governors who are owning that, or you can say that governors who are giving the decisions that what should be done further. And transferred subjects were controlled by provincial legislative councils. And transfer, it means that you should transfer one person to another city. So that was actually decided by the provincial legislative council. Reserve subjects means that you're reserving something and you're reserving those powers. It means that you're keeping the control of those powers under you. So the reserve subjects, number one was justice, which was transferred to local government, police, which was transferred subjects to education, revenue, and public health, powers, resources, and forests. So they were, you can see, they both are working parallel to one another. The impact of these reforms were number one, Indian people opposed it because the act went against Lucknow Pact 1916. It means that Indians were not finding it in favor of them. That's why they decided to just back off from this event. It was referred as inadequate, unsatisfactory, and disappointing for the Indians. All right. So this is the main reason that they back off. Okay, and this act, the Amritsar massacre, Khilafat movement worsened the situation and doomed the reforms to failure. Khilafat movement, where people stood up on roads, they boycotted towards different things, they raised their voices, and they said that they are not in favor of that reform. Khilafat movement would also plays a very important role into the history of subcontinent. So this is the assignment for today. Question number one: partition of India in the late summer and early autumn of. Okay, so this is basically your assignment. You have to complete this assignment. This is question number one. These are question number two, question number three, and question number four. All right. So you have to answer these questions into your notebook, and then you have to submit these answers to me. All right. So the procedure you're already familiar with, that under those instructions on KP, you have to write down those questions over there along with the answers, and you have to post it over there. And if you people are having any questions, so definitely you can ask me on KP. So thank you so much everyone for listening, and I hope that this presentation turned out to be very important, and this presentation also turned out to be very interesting for all of you. Inshallah, we'll return back after another presentation for all of you. Till then, take care, barakallah, and Allah Hafiz.